stand part. That's the new question. Call Tracy Martin.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I take a short call on behalf of New Zealand First and my colleague Derek Ball on the Social Security Extension of Young Person Services and Remedial Matters Amendment Bill 2015. New Zealand First will be opposing this bill. Up until this point, New Zealand First has supported this bill with reservations, but we can no longer support it. I take on board the comments of the Speaker who just resumed her seat. New Zealand First is concerned with many of the same issues that the Speaker from the Labour Party has just articulated. We see the risk analysis. We see the risk analysis that is very interestingly wrapped up in what is called the investment approach. It's predominantly just a narrowing of the circumstances by which a young person can actually gain assistance, and we don't see that as constructive. And we would also point out that the Ministry of Social Development, in their own departmental disclosure statement, said the risk model for the youth services extension is still in development and will be finalised prior to the implementation of the youth service in August 2016. So if it's still in development, we don't understand how success can be claimed. If it hasn't truly been used yet, we don't understand how the government can go forward and say that this is an answer for this age group. We also have already expressed our concerns, and it was in other legislation, around the use of the national student number to track NEETs numbers. This government is putting in place more and more tracking devices for citizens of New Zealand, particularly young citizens of New Zealand, and using data from multi-sources to create what they believe is the picture for this risk analysis. It's not a transparent risk analysis, Mr Chair. It's not something that, for example, under a Privacy Act, under a file, you can actually request your file and say, excuse me, but that's not right. My mother's not a drug addict. Just because somebody wrote it down somewhere doesn't make it so. And unfortunately, this is not a transparent risk analysis that we're aware of. This is something that interagencies will cross-credit their data and come up with a picture of a human being by tick box. And we find that distasteful. We can appreciate that there needs to be an extension of support, probably through to 24-25, for young New Zealanders trying to make their way in what is today's employment and educational environment. We can appreciate that there certainly needs to be a change to some of the funding and modelling that is going on. But we cannot support the bill in its current form, sir, because we do not believe that that actually provides the answers for these young people. We have just seen some positive reinforcement models, and the Minister was just there actually at the Vodafone Change the World Foundation, and that is the sort of positive trust of young people to come up with their solutions that, with the right support and the right environment, just coming back from Career Force where they connect industry with young people and put through apprentices inside the health industry, having visited ETCO and looked at other models around there of creating apprentices and so on. These are all positive ways to interact with young people, rather than assessing their family history and deciding they are a risk of being a burden to us as a country. Our young people can never be considered a burden to us as a country. They must be considered what is possible for our future. So on that basis, sir, New Zealand First cannot support this bill.
Mr Chair.